Okay. A lot of echo. Does anybody hear that? Yeah?
Yes.
Not sure why. Okay, so it's quit for some reason. So it's 7 o'clock, and I call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I'll take attendance first. Councillor Cross, are you present?
Present.
Councillor Maxwell?
Present.
Councillor Olmsted?
Present.
And Councillor Grant?
Present.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is written disclosure of pecuniary conflict of interest. Does anyone have anything to declare? Councillor Cross?
No conflicts.
Councillor Maxwell?
No, I don't.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes, I do. I sent in my paperwork.
Okay. And Councillor Grant?
No, I do not.
Okay. Okay. Cindy, did you have something you wanted to say there?
Just that Councillor Olmsted should read out her statement.
Oh, okay.
Be verbal and written.
Well, now I have
Can
to
you
go
do
through
that,
my little
please?
package.
Can you do that, please, Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah, I'm just getting my paperwork. Just a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a minute. Sorry. You know me,
No
I'm
problem.
not very okay. So I, Heather Olmsted, declare pecuniary conflict of interest in item 6D, item title Calvin Conflict, March 9th, 2021 council meeting agenda. I'm making this declaration because I am named on the document.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I just want to say something before we continue. Because this is a public meeting, neither Councillor Olmsted or Councillor Grant need to sign off when items D and E come up. They just won't be able to participate in the discussion because it is an open meeting. All right. I'm also prepared to allow both Councillor Olmsted and Councillor Grant the opportunity to speak on the resolutions before us of the suggested discipline for each councillor prior to the resolution being moved and seconded. I hope that's okay with everyone. If it's not, can you please object now? Councillor Cross?
No objection.
Councillor Maxwell?
No objection?
Councillor Olmsted?
No objection.
And Councillor Grant?
No objection.
Okay, thank you. So next item on the agenda is petitions and delegations, of which we have none. So the next item after that is reports from municipal officers. First person on the list is Chris Rowley, our road superintendent. Can you proceed, Chris?
Good evening.
Hello.
You hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as of the last report to council, the last road report to council, we have gone around with the municipal grader and winged all the banks back, isolated and cut the frosties. Since then, we had two major snowfalls with a accumulation of approximately 1.5 of snow. We are in the process of doing that again, including plowing out the ditches. It is important to plow out the ditches ahead of the mild weather, and on the weekend of February the 27th and 28th, when it was really mild, we had some very mild weather, and on Monday, March the 1st, some of the ditches on Homestead Road and Adams Road were building up with water. We are also digging out snow from the culvert ends with the backhoe to free up the flow of water. We had a couple complaints about slush on the main road and icy patches in the shaded areas on the municipal roads. We are doing our best to address these issues. As for the slush on the main road, it had snowed during the night. Both trucks were dispatched at 6 a.m. to treat the road. This included plowing and strip sanding the main roads, Peddler's Drive and Boundary. And by noon, the sun and mild temperatures was melting the snow and the ice on the main roads. By 2:30 p.m., all the roads throughout the municipality are plowed and spot sanded as necessary. There was some slush on the main road, but it was pretty well melted off by 5 p.m., except for in the shaded areas, in which the sand was still visible. As for the complaint of icy patches in areas on the rest of the municipal roads, we had plowed and spot sanded all the roads throughout the day. The temperature was cold in the morning and sunny in the afternoon. The sun does melt the surface of the road, and it turns to ice in the late afternoons and evening when the temperature drops again. All the roads are treated well within the Municipal Minimum Maintenance Standards Act, but there is times when the roads are slushy and slippery at different times throughout the day or the year. On February the 15th, the front differential on 7605, which is our older truck, failed at the intersection of Homestead Road and Highway 630. We ended up towing 7605 back to the municipal garage with 7615, the newer truck. And we towed the truck in front of the sand dome to dump off its load of sand, and then push 7605 into the garage with the backhoe for repairs. We brought the front plow out for the grader into the garage to be installed on the grader. The grader that was then used to continue on with plowing snow and followed up with sanding by the second truck. I removed the front differential on 7605 later in the afternoon and found that the PDL, or the power divider lock, was broken. The PDL locks the front differential with the rear differential in a tandem drive system. So in other words, one wheel on the front differential and one wheel on the rear differential lock together, so that 2 out of the 4 wheels drive together. There is also a axle differential lock, which locks the axles from one side to the other, creating a 4-axle lock, or 4 wheels drive, when both the DDL and the DL are actuated at the same time. These are our air actuators and must be allowed 3 seconds to build up air pressure inside the actuator to engage the gears properly. I have instructed the roads crew as to the proper use of the DDL and the DL. I demonstrated this to them by pushing into a snowbank at the municipal garage yard with one of the trucks. With no locks actuated, one rear wheel would spin. I actuated the DDL and waited 3 seconds, and one wheel on the front differential and one wheel on the rear differential would spin. I then actuated the DL and waited 3 seconds, and all 4 wheels would spin together. This is very helpful when you're stuck or there is a loss of traction. It is very important to give the actuators 3 seconds to fully engage the gears before spinning a wheel and to prevent any damage to the differential. I also took the opportunity to check the wheel end play and retorque the wheel bearings while we had the axles out. I had ordered a new remanufactured differential from Lewis Motors at a cost of $5,184, minus the core charge, for a total cost of $3,789, tax included. By Friday, February the 19th, we had 7605 back in service. We also had to install a new Reman heavy-duty alternator on 7605. During the winter months with all the lights and flashers on, it puts a lot of strain on the charging system. And so we keep a new heavy-duty alternator in stock at all times, so that in the event of a failure, we don't lose much time getting the truck back in service. We also did a clutch adjustment on the newer truck, 7615. That's all I have for a road report, and unless you have some questions.
Any questions, Councillor Cross?
Well, a lot of that was kind of Greek to me because I don't know a thing about vehicles. Do you feel that the differential was faulty, or was it just overworn, or why do you think the differential went?
Well, they're all subject to failure, and like, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. It just those things happen. They take a lot of abuse, and I just wanted to make it very clear on for all the operators to know how to properly engage them.
Any
Okay, thank
questions,
you.
Councillor Maxwell?
I see there's been some correspondence regarding the pushing the bank back on Stewart's Road. Are there any plans to do that in the future, in the next week or two? Or?
It depends on workload, but not as of yet.
Mayor Pennell,
Yes.
I'd like to declare a conflict. I wonder if Cindy can email me a form. I do not have a form handy. And reason being, discussion of Stewart's Road is a conflict. Thank you. Because my parents own property on the road. Thank you.
Okay. Are you able to do that, Cindy?
Yes, I will do that.
I'm thinking if you don't participate in the discussion, we can move forward. So I'll continue the conversation with Councillor Maxwell and Chris. I don't know if you're finished or not, Chris, or the same for you, Councillor Maxwell.
I think you said it wasn't planned unless circumstances changed or less time allowed. Is that what the answer was?
Well, it's not planned as of now. We still have all the yearly maintained roads to take care of first.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Olmsted?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No questions from you, Councillor Grant, sorry. Okay, so next item on the agenda is another report from Municipal Officer Dean Maxwell, Fire Chief. Are you prepared for that report, Dean?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure. So I'll just start off with the month of February. We had 2 MVC calls. We've been getting lots of motor vehicle accidents calls lately just because of the bad weather and the thaw and freeze cycle. Just plays real havoc with the highway. On February 5th, we had one MVC on Highway 17 West. We had a one vehicle accident. Again, just due to bad road conditions, they ended up, we're heading west and took the ditch. There was no extrication needed. We had to do traffic control. At that time, the OPP deemed it not unsafe to pull the vehicle out, so they ended up just leaving it there in a ditch overnight. And they came back in a day when the highway was in better shape, and this time it was too dark, so they just carried on for safety reasons. On February 22nd, we got a page for an MVC on Highway 630, 7 kilometers in. So that puts us at Homestead Road. What ended up happening was there actually was a miscommunication. It was actually 7 kilometers in and Algonquin Park. So we ended up getting this information on later on through the call. So we got to confirm these right when we get on scene. We got to confirm, make sure. So we went right to the end of 630, and then where we met up with one of Anderson's trucking's trucks. What ended up happening, a log truck missed a corner. The driver was hurt. So we were first on scene. So I made the decision to continue on just to make sure everything was okay. So we drove into kilometer 7 and up towards the ranger station on kilometer 7 in the park. What ended up happening was their sander was broke that day, so I guess he was trying to come out with a little logs and missed a corner, ended up hitting a tree. Ambulance was about 20 minutes behind us, I'm going to say roughly. And when the ambulance showed up, we assisted the ambulance on a lift to take the patient out, where he was loaded in the ambulance and taken to the Mattawa Hospital. Later treated for a broken leg, so it was quite the lift to get him out of there because we had to bring him up with a snowbank. So that's all the calls we had for February. So for February, for training meetings, so we're doing training meetings still. So either myself or Renee or Jacob are taking turns. We're keeping the 5 guys, so that the training is specific for certain guys. So I have my truck drivers doing like pump offs and so on, so Friday, February the 4th, we did pumper drafting training for the guys, where we pump from one tanker to a pumper. As we call that, direct drafting. On February 11th, we did Auto X drills here in the fire hall. I had Jordan do that training. Was one of my captains, Jordan Wally, did that training that night. On February 18th, we did backboarding and spider straps, and Renee Knight actually did that training as well. So they just kind of review the backboard and how to strap a patient into the backboard. On February 25th, we had a work night here at the fire hall, where we cleaned up the fire hall, did all our truck checks, washed a couple trucks, and we did some gear inventory, getting ready for the 2021 budget. All our gear is pretty well up to standard when we're doing our inventory. For the last couple of years, we've been playing catch up. We've been buying helmets and stuff, getting everything up to standard. So all that's pretty well done this year. But doing the inventory, 2023 is actually going to be a big year for us. Lots of our hose is going to be expired, and we're going to need to replace it. We're looking at probably about 28 lengths. I'm looking into right now having those tested, so maybe we don't have to replace them. We just get them pressure tested, and they'll be good for another 5 years maybe. So that's something to look forward to in the future. So for status, PT2 is back from paint from Sudbury Truck and Trailers. Came back. I put it back in the service the following day. Washed it all up. It's covered in salt and stuff, so we rinsed it all off and had the gear put back on it and in service that Saturday. The repairs look good. I'm fairly happy with it. Hopefully they hold out. There is a structural design issue there that I haven't talked about, but it seems that's something we're just going to have to deal with. So for now, everything's good, and we'll hope it holds out. All our bunker gear has been tested for this year, so in service has come down here and tested all our gear. Two of the gears needed repair in the inside liner, and then there was 2 gear that really needed a cleaning really bad. So those repairs and cleanings have already been done, and the gear's back in service, and is good for this year. And the last thing I kind of want to discuss about, we just had a meeting there Sunday night with the 3 chiefs, and we're trying to make up a plan for this COVID if one of our fire departments does get sick. Like me and Neil, we have already discussed how I'll cover him and cover him, but who covers us while we're covering Papineau? So the 3 chiefs, myself, Neil, and what's now this chief's name? Anybody? No. I should always know that. Anyways, the Mattawa chief, we had a meeting and we discussed how this is going to work. So pretty well, if we're over, we got to cover our chunk of highway or something like that. I'm just going to use this as an example. If some reason Papineau gets COVID, Papineau gets a structure fire, we'll respond to their structure fire. And then for some reason, at the same time we're out doing a structure fire, we get a highway call. Mattawa will take the highway call and cover us, and vice versa. So everybody's pretty well agrees on this system that we're trying to put together. As long as when we're covering, we're going to be covered as well, right? So with 3 of us all together with Paul Lafreniere, the chief of Mattawa, it's going to work out. But I was just wondering if there's any concerns you guys might have personally going forward with this, or that you would like to see addressed, maybe. Ryan?
I don't have any concerns. Councillor Cross?
No, I don't.
Councillor Maxwell?
No, that sounds like a plan. Good plan.
Councillor Olmsted?
I agree. It sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
And Councillor Grant?
No concerns, thank you.
Thank you all. Sounds like everybody's approving it, Dean.
So, okay, that's good. I know the Mattawa Council did have concerns about because what they're going to do is cut Papineau in half, kind of. So Mattawa will take care of the east side and we'll take care of the west side from Chenier Road over. But I did know that Mattawa Council had concerns about being covered in Mattawa while if Mattawa was out covering. So we would actually cover Mattawa while they were out servicing their chunk or whatever, right? So all the chiefs are in agreement on this. So I think it's going to be good for us to be working together as well, and it's good for all the verticals in the area. We will be bringing forward a draft for this for you guys to approve of and everything. So it's far from being done. We're just trying to get everything together to make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and stuff. But that's everything. If anybody doesn't have any questions.
Councillor Cross?
No questions.
Councillor Maxwell?
No questions.
Councillor Olmsted?
No questions. Thank you, Dean.
Councillor Grant?
No questions.
I think those are really good ideas, and thanks for the initiative, Dean.
Thank you.
So thank you. Next item on the agenda is a report from Jacob Grove on recreational landfill and cemetery. Jacob, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So through the month of February, we finished up the renovations in the hall. We continued to work on some of the storage issues in the community center by creating some shelves and rearranging the storage to hopefully make it more functional for our events by not having to move as much stuff around. We also went through and cleaned out the kitchen cupboards and cabinets, made use of the new dishwasher that was donated, and it worked really well for us. The compactor truck, as I mentioned in the last council report, we had issues with it. I've given a complete breakdown of what went on with that, and it was back in service at the landfill on March 3rd and was available for the next day that the landfill was open. There's no report for cemetery, and there were no new cases in municipal enforcement. Are there any questions?
Councillor Cross, would you have any questions of Jacob?
For the compactors, so it was basically a old wiring problem, why it wasn't starting? So
Yes.
aged base, basically?
Yeah, it could have been age base or could have been mice chewed it or something. And I'm not sure exactly what would have caused it. But essentially, they were able to repair it. It had to go to Freightliner because they were the only ones that had the system that could talk to our transmission. We weren't able to get someone to come out and do a mobile repair on it because they didn't have the programs to talk to the transmission.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Maxwell, do you have any questions?
Just curious on the bill, how much that costs?
I will have to ask Cindy for a bit of help with that. It should all be in the disbursements. The tow I have in the first section of disbursements. It was $395.50. And then the repairs would have been in the disbursements or the run that went out today. I don't have that in front of me, so I'm hoping
Yes.
Cindy can.
That's fine. I'll see it then. That's fine. Thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Maxwell?
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Olmsted, do you have any questions of Jacob?
No questions, thank you. I just wanted to know, same thing as Sandy, how old is the compactor? And we're looking into replacing it, coming up with another viable option, right?
The compactor is a 2001.
Yeah.
We are, we're always looking at different options as to how we can improve efficiency.
Thank you. I thought it was pretty old, 20 years. It's done its job. Thank you.
Do you have any questions or comments, Councillor Grant?
No.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a report from Shane Conrad, Chief Building Official. It's a written report. It was in our council package. It looks fairly obvious. There was one permit issued, $2,000. Nothing's been collected so far. And the permit that was issued has not been picked up yet. Okay. Next item on the agenda is reports from committees, of which we have none. And then we move on to action letters. So the first item in there is to adopt the minutes of the special meeting of council held on Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020. So we'll need a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Grant, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, could you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Grant and seconded by Councillor Cross that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2021 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Maxwell?
No discussion.
Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
And Councillor Grant?
No discussion.
Okay, so we'll take a vote amongst us to see if everyone's in favor of adopting these minutes. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
Councillor Grant?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the minutes of Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, the regular council meeting. So we have a resolution to do that as well, of which I need a mover and a seconder to do that. Councillor Maxwell, can you move this one, please?
Yes, Ken?
Thank you. And Councillor Olmsted, could you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Olmsted, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Do you have anything you'd like to discuss on this, Councillor Cross?
Nothing to discuss, no.
Okay, Councillor Maxwell?
Nothing to discuss, no.
Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion, thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Grant?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take a vote to so see if everybody's in agreement to adopt these minutes. So Councillor Cross, are you in favor, yes or no, to adopt these minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
Yes?
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is also carried. Next item on the agenda is we should have a report for this, a resolution for this as well, I believe. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this one as well. Councillor Maxwell, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and Councillor Grant, could you second this one?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Grant, that the minutes of the ad hoc committee for the public swimming access to the Amab Dufont River held on Tuesday, January 26, 2021 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Maxwell?
No discussion?
And Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
And Councillor Grant?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to take a vote to make sure that everybody's in agreement to adopt these minutes. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried as well. So the next item on the agenda is Integrity Commission report. The first one is for Heather. Councillor Olmsted, I was just wondering if you have anything you'd like to present prior to me opening this resolution.
I think I answered everything in my letter to the residents.
Okay.
So, yep, I'd like you to carry on.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, so we have a resolution in front of us that before we can open discussion, we'll have to get a mover and a seconder for it. Councillor Olmsted would be omitted from that one. Councillor Cross, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Maxwell. Whereas a request for inquiry was made to the Integrity Commissioner alleging that Councillor Olmsted had contravened the municipal code of conduct, whereas an inquiry was conducted by the Integrity Commissioner in response to the request, and a report was presented to Council on February 9th, 2021, whereas the Integrity Commissioner found that Councillor Olmsted did contravene sections 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.5 of the Code of Conduct when she accused the CBO of backdating a building permit. Her disrespect for the authority of the CBO when no fines were laid, and her effort to discredit or question the integrity of the CBO and get a different decision by bringing the matter before Council, and also contravened the Council staff relations policy and subsequently breached the Code of Conduct in her treatment of staff. Whereas Council has considered the findings or recommendations of the Integrity Commissioner, now therefore it be resolved that Councillor Olmsted shall formally apologize to staff and the CBO, and B, that Councillor Olmsted will be given a formal reprimand for her conduct towards staff. So I'm going to open this for discussion. Councillor Cross.
I think moving forward, having self-reflection and taking ownership, moving forward and having to apologize to the CBO and the staff will show good faith that we want to work together as a team. I think it's important that we keep in mind how we do things as councillors. I think every effort needs to be made so that there's no other breaches of code of conduct is made, because these investigations are costly to the ratepayers as they pay the taxes for them. So I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
I think Councillor Olmsted is a very fine councillor. She's very hardworking. She does a lot of her work, and she's had to wait 2 years to get this report on the council table. I think that 2 years alone is, I'd like to have some answers on why it took 2 years to get it here. She claims she does not agree with the whole report, says that doesn't feel like she was properly represented by the Integrity Commissioner. That seems to be a common thread that you hear response from people that are being investigated by the Integrity Commissioner, that they feel the Integrity Commissioner is your lawyer, and it's also the jury and judge. And it sets up an unfair situation for councillors. We're all new councillors here, and I think the Integrity Commissioner was set up as a tool to rein in corruption in municipal politics, and to be used against seasoned politicians who know the rules and who blatantly ignore them. I think that that Councillor Olmsted was mistreated poorly in this whole process and misrepresented. And I think that it was a heavy-handed approach to call in the Integrity Commissioner on this report. I had examples of I did some research and looked to see what other Integrity Commissioners are doing in other areas. And other areas, they will look for ways to solve the problem without going into a formal investigation and a formal report. It doesn't have to be their first step is to automatically jump into a report. And I think that our EFRM is not serving us well in this area. They're quick. I don't know if it's being influenced by people in our township, or if it's EFRM that's quick to jump into an investigation right away. But I think we've had way too many investigations for the size of our township, and there wasn't a lot of consideration given to the being a first-year councillors. That it's that we all make mistakes, and we all whoever is without sin should throw the first stone, as they say, and we've all made mistakes, and we've all had mistakes that not necessarily we were pulled up on by the Integrity Commissioner for. And I think the Integrity Commissioner is supposed to act in the best interest of the taxpayers. And in this case, I don't believe it is in the best interest of the taxpayers to have gone through this whole process and discredited a fine community person that Heather is. She volunteers a lot, and she's just a fine councillor. And I think it's very unfortunate that these circumstances have unfolded this way. You know, her reputation's been smeared in the community. You know, we all have to live here, and it's a small community, and to have these reports come out like this and it's put out in public on the internet so that everybody can see it. It's there for 6 months, and it's just there's a penalty in there, in that just being having this exposed and getting your name dragged through mud. And I just think it's very unfair that she has to go through this, and I do not support either. I will not support this this motion at all. And now we could consider, it might be a suggestion to have it amended and perhaps go to just A, but right now I'm not willing to support anything, any of this motion. I think I said enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Grant, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
I have some short comments, partially because, you know, I'm going to go off my comments, which I was advised not to do. I mean, I think that I don't want to say too much because I believe I might be at risk of further investigation. I don't think that a counselor can properly do their job when they have to be fearful of constant investigation by anonymous sources. My comments are, anyone that knows Heather personally knows she is a person of great character and integrity. I can only hope Heather and the requester have reconciled their differences and come to a mutually acceptable solution. Unfortunately, at this time, I advise not to make any further comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I want to respond to just a couple of comments. I read Councillor Maxwell's email he sent out to us about other options for investigations of, I think it was lawyers down in Hamilton. It didn't say that they don't do any investigations, it just said that they have other options as well. I would suggest that probably, I'm not sure about that, but we do have one person from E4M with us tonight, that I would suggest that perhaps not all complaints are acted upon. There must be a screening process in place first before it's determined that serious enough to proceed. And perhaps we can get a comment from that person from E4M on that later. And you did mention that, Councillor Maxwell again, and I'm not picking on you, I'm not doing that at all, that Heather's name was, or Councillor Olmsted's name was presented in public at an open meeting, and that everyone is aware of that was at the meeting or looked at the streaming of the meeting. But that is the process and how the Integrity Commissioner, that's their process to do that. I have some comments that I wrote up last night, and it's regarding this investigation and this resolution. A complaint was submitted to the Integrity Commissioner for violations of 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.5 of the Code of Conduct, alleging that Councillor Olmsted accused our Chief Building Official of backdating a building permit, showed disrespect for the authority of the building official when no fines were given, and for the attempting to discredit or question the integrity of the building official, and get a different decision by bringing the matter before council. By being allegedly involved in these acts, Councillor Olmsted also contravened our municipal council/staff relations policy and subsequently breached the Code of Conduct in her treatment of staff. This situation was investigated thoroughly and in depth by our Integrity Commissioner, and these breaches of the Code of Conduct were confirmed. These are not trivial offenses and were committed by Councillor Olmsted. We were all elected by our constituents to represent them, and we need to maintain a higher standard in our professionalism and private lives. We must stand above all others while elected to council and follow our Code of Conduct and not violate any of the conflict of interest guidelines. It is our responsibility and duty as councillors to move forward with these penalties and hold Councillor Olmsted accountable to our constituents and to council in general for these offences. I ask you to vote in favor of this resolution to instruct Councillor Olmsted to formally apologize to staff and our chief building official and to approve a formal reprimand being given to Councillor Olmsted for her conduct towards staff. So I'm going to call for a vote on this resolution. Councillor Cross, do you vote to proceed with these suggested discipline items? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes
No.
or no?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Grant, do you vote yes or no?
I vote no.
I vote yes. Okay. So that means that this is a tie vote. Okay, and the resolution is defeated. Okay. So this resolution died on the table. Okay. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is item E. And Councillor Grant, do you have anything you'd like to contribute before I get a mover and a seconder to bring this resolution forward?
Yes. I want to make it clear that at no time did I mislead anyone. My family and myself have not wrongly benefited from this position in any way. Sandy Cross, you were clear at last meeting that I need to be held responsible for my actions. I'm wondering if you hold yourself to the same standard. Councillor Cross, you were the president of the CWA and directly responsible for the money. My pecuniary interest was because my wife was a volunteer member and I voted to have the hall open for everyone. That means you had a direct pecuniary interest in the vote as well and did not declare a conflict. This is a toxic work environment. Specific councillors are under unbelievable scrutiny by individuals looking to target them. Council is not in control of this township. When I was voted in, I went to work asking questions, lots of questions, and that made me some enemies. In retrospect, maybe I should have just collected my paycheck and kept my mouth shut. Life would have been easy, and I don't believe I would have had to face any investigations. I don't take any of this lightly. My number one concern is the ratepayers and always has been. Due to the threat of investigations, my hands are tied, and I have no ability to be an effective counselor in this work environment. Unfortunately, I am not a lawyer, and as long as I continue to be targeted by anonymous complainers, the bills will keep adding up for everyone. With this in mind, the best way for me to continue to represent the taxpayers is as a private citizen. In the short term, I believe the best things for the ratepayers and myself is for me to resign. I have learned a lot about politics, and it was with great honor serving as a counselor. I would like to thank my colleagues that work hard to make Calvin a better place, and I will continue to serve my community as a private citizen. I am resigning as of now. Mayor Pennell, I'll be leaving the meeting. Thank you.
I didn't see that one coming, Councillor Grant. I'm sorry to see you go. I think you have a lot to offer.
I believe I do. I believe I have more to offer as a private citizen, free from investigations. So I will hopefully continue to be active. I just I can't drag the ratepayers through the mud, which I think that some individuals, anonymous individuals, are doing. So before I say any more, I'll email the resignation shortly, and I wish everyone the best of luck. Thank you.
Bye, Dean. Oh. Kind of shocked me. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda. It's item F and bylaw 2021-006. It's the agreement with the Canadian Ecology Centre for the landfill use. We had that at our last meeting, and we did the first and second readings on it. So this meeting tonight will effectively be the third reading. Okay, so we had discussion 2 meetings ago, but we had a request from the Ecology Center, and then we discussed at that meeting. Then it came up at our last meeting for the first and second reading. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to Move this one, please. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Councillor Maxwell, can you second it, please?
Yes, Ken.
Thank you. So this is a bylaw to enter into an agreement between the Corporation Industrielle of Calvin and the Calvin Ecology Center, and this is the third reading. It's been moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Maxwell?
No discussion?
And Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you all. So I want to hold a vote to make sure that everybody's in agreement to the third reading. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Cross and Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Thanks for waving. And I vote yes as well. So the third reading is carried. Thank you all.
I have a question about procedure. Is it proper for us to skip over E in light of the information that we have? There is a resolution on the table, and do we have to do something with that? Defer it, or?
If Councillor, I'm not sure about that, but my thought is that, and we have someone here from E4M, I don't know if they can answer the question, and I'm thinking by Councillor Grant resigning, then he wouldn't be subjected to repay or to not receive remuneration for meetings going forward. I don't know the answer to that.
If I can, Your Worship. If I can,
Yes,
Your
please.
Worship. Your question is, should the resolution for Councillor Grant go forward? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I think it would be safe that, some things happened this evening that were unexpected by everyone. And Councillor Grant is not here. And to be fair to him, I would just defer this, and then you can think about this and then come back to it, unless council itself wants to dispose of it tonight. But it doesn't have to be dealt with tonight. And I think just to be fair to everybody, including the process, you can just put it off and consider it and then bring it back. That'd be my recommendation, because I really don't know I don't have the answer to your procedural. I'd have to research it. But just to be safe, I would suggest you just put it off with the idea that it might come back tabled only to be withdrawn at that point.
Great, thanks, Mr. Sparling. Okay, so can we go back to E then? And I want to see if everybody's in agreement to deferring it to our next regular meeting. Are you in favor of doing that, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I am. I'm hoping that Councillor Grant will reconsider his resignation, and hopefully we can defer this until next meeting.
Okay. Councillor Maxwell, are you in agreement to defer it till the next meeting?
Yes, I am. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Integrity Commissioner, for this action that's occurred. It's a big loss for our township, and I'm saddened by this. You know what? It's upset me a lot, and Mayor, I'm going to leave the meeting as well. I can't put my mind on anything else tonight after hearing this response. So I will be leaving the meeting. I won't be coming back tonight.
If I can, Mayor Pownall, just before Councillor Maxwell leaves, sir, I understand that this is upsetting for everybody. But if anybody has any questions on the actual investigator process, please give us a call, and I'll certainly explain it to you. I explain to you the vetting process, or if you want me to come back and present that to you, I can do that, and how we do the investigations. But maybe it's not something for tonight. I just wanted to put that out there for you.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Sparling.
Yeah, I'm actually going to consider. I don't feel safe talking at these meetings anymore. I feel that the Integrity Commissioner is not representing councillors how they're supposed to, and I feel I'm threatened, and I I'm actually going to consider my own future with council to, you know, everybody says, why bother with this job? It's, you know, if you're going to be scrutinized every time you speak up and every time you say something, you know, you've got a risk of an investigation come on you. I'm not sure I need this. I'm going to be leaving the meeting now, and I won't be coming back. Thank you.
Well, that leaves, we still have a quorum if we want to continue.
I think it's clear I'm upset.
Yes.
I didn't see that coming either. And I have another, like, there's more coming for me, so, yeah, I can't.
Are you going to stay with us, Councillor Olmsted?
Is it going to be light and airy? Sorry for my sense of humor. That's how I
Okay, so this was a vote to defer this resolution to the next meeting. All right. So Councillor Maxwell did vote yes, and I'm asking you now, Councillor Olmsted, are you in favor of doing that?
I'm not in favor of attacking Dean anymore. That's for sure. Yeah, I guess we can defer it.
Okay. And I'm in favor of that as well. So this resolution is carried. I'll to defer it to the next meeting. Okay. Okay, so the next item here, we already did the landfill use. So we'll go to G on the agenda. And it's bylaw 2021-007. And it's also agreement with the Community Ecology Center for fire services. So we did the first and second reading at the last meeting. So I'll need a mover and a secondary to proceed with the third reading tonight. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have a third reading moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Olmsted, being a bylaw to enter into agreement between the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin and the Community College Center. Is there any discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Is there anything you'd like to bring forth, Councillor Olmsted?
No, thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote, please. Are you in favor of this bylaw, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I am.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
I am as well. So this third reading is passed, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so next item on the agenda is Municipality of Calvin Recreation Department. It's an annual review of the ice building and maintenance manual. We did bring this up a couple of meetings ago, and I believe we were asked to submit any changes that we thought were appropriate or what we required. And I spoke with our clerk last week, and there had been no suggestions made. So the assumption is that we'll proceed with it the way it is. So I'll need a mover and a secondary to do that. So Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So any discussion on whether we leave the ice building and maintenance policy the way it is, or do we need to make some changes? First, then, Councillor Cross.
I think it's good the way it is.
Okay. And Councillor Olmsted?
To be fair, we never really got a chance to use it because we were closed most of the time. I was wondering about Jacob's input, if he thinks there's anything that we need to change, because we didn't really get to use it. We lost our volunteers and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder what he would think to make it a better plan for next year.
Jacob, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here. I don't see any changes that we would need to be made in the policy itself as to make it easier for volunteers to continue to do stuff. We will continue to try and recruit the volunteers to see if we can have more of them for next year.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, so with that input from Jacob, do you have any further discussion you'd like to offer, Councillor Olmsted?
No, it's just a learning curve.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on this one, please. So the vote will be that we leave the manual the way it is, okay, the policy the way it is. Councillor Cross, do you vote, do you agree with that or not? You vote yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So thank you. Next item on the agenda is bylaw 2021-008, and it is an agreement with the North Bay District Humane Society. Do we have that? So this will, I'm assuming everyone had a chance to review this. All right. Is there any discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Olmsted?
I believe you have to move and second it first before we discuss it.
Oh,
But I do
Jesus,
have
sorry.
lots of discussion. That's okay.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. Sorry about that. So
Okay.
Councillor Cross, will you move this one?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted.
Yes.
So we have this first reading moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Olmsted. And this is a bylaw to renew an agreement between the North Bay and District Humane Society and the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin for the duration of January the 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
Actually, I have a question now.
Oh.
Have we used them? Have we used them this year or last year, 2020?
There were a couple times that I got a dog to the shelter, but before it was checked in, the owner was located and arrangements were made for the owner to pick up the dog from myself in an effort to make it easier for them so that they could have their dog home with them quicker instead of it being stuck in the pound overnight.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks for doing that for them too, Jake.
Councillor Olmsted?
You're welcome.
Yes, I remember 2 years ago when we were doing a new policy, the Humane Society said they were going to refuse veterinary services for sick and distressed and injured dogs. And we had a big problem with that. And then we found out that unless it's the owner, we don't have say on who can fix the dog. So I wondered, because they said, I had a couple of questions about when deemed necessary. So are they going to provide veterinary services for the animals now?
Do you have that information, Jacob?
I don't have that information. I know Cindy was involved with setting up the contract. I don't know if she has the information for you.
Nothing has changed in the,
Okay.
agreement. The sickened, an injured dog, for instance, if a dog was hit by a car or something like that, they probably still won't accept the dog back. It will be up to us.
So,
Contact a vet or
Okay.
something.
but we already found out that vets won't work on dogs that aren't owned.
Sorry, say that again?
That's my number one concern. Like, vets won't work on a dog that's not owned by somebody, right? You have to have owner permission to fix a dog. So I'm still stuck in that conundrum. I think everybody knows I'm an animal lover, and I want to have them come first, and I don't want to dump off a dog to to somebody who's not going to take care of them. So I guess we keep them sick and distressed in our agreement with the Bonfield pound, I guess. Yeah,
Fortunately,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
not happy with that. That stinks. But I guess we have no. I just wonder if other humane societies feel that way. I mean, it's the whole name of the Humane Society is supposed to be humane. Is that across Ontario? I don't. Maybe you don't. I don't know, but maybe. Yeah, I don't know either. There's all kinds of questions come up for me for this.
Anything further, Councillor Olmsted?
Until I find out these answers, I'd like to defer this if that's possible, because these are questions I have.
Well, we
Is
got
this normal for?
meetings here, so
Right.
we can do 2 tonight if you like. I'm going to call this one for a vote anyway. So, Councillor Cross, do you vote to accept this agreement? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
No.
Okay, I vote yes. So the first reading is passed. Thank you. Let's go to the second reading. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that one as well. Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it?
Yes.
Thank you. So this second reading is moved by Councillor Olmsted, seconded by Councillor Cross, and it's a bylaw to renew an agreement between North Bay and District Humane Society and a corporation of New South Calvin for the duration of January the 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, be read a second time and be referred to in a committee of the whole council. So any discussion on the second reading, Councillor Cross?
Not really. And I understand Councillor Olmsted's concerns. And we did have, last year, we had a lengthy discussion about all of this. And I spent many of hours on the telephone with a number of different veterinarians. They have a policy now that they won't do this. That's why I was looking into possibly doing some sort of microchipping our dogs so that we would be able to get a hold of the owners faster so that we could actually implement emergency vet care if a dog was injured. But it kind of went stagnant in the water. Maybe this is something we can look forward to again, because we had to also cancel the rabies clinic because of COVID. So I think when it comes to the care of an animal, if it's been hit, it's kind of out of our hands. We have to kind of think out of the box and come up with a different solution. It really doesn't have anything to do with the Humane Society. They don't even have a surgeon there anymore unless it is for spading. And that's Dr. Neil. Anyway, and that's it.
Any discussion, Councillor Olmsted?
I just think, what's the point of bringing them there? If we're going to take care of them ourselves, we may as well just take care of them ourselves.
That's
Right.
a pretty commitment, but Councillor, no. Cindy?
They're kind of separate issues. What this agreement does is allows us to bring dogs that are found, not necessarily injured, but dogs that are found somewhere so that they're not just wandering around hungry, you know, all that sort of thing. This is sort of a separate issue. It allows us to bring found dogs. We do our best to try and find them within our own community first. That's why we ask people to tag their dogs, and we keep records of those so that we can try and find the owners of the dogs here. But unfortunately, if we can't find them, then we can't keep them here. You know, we don't have the facilities to house a dog on a long-term basis. So whereas the Humane Society does, it's a place where we can take them so that they are properly taken care of. So the injured dogs are a valid concern, 100%. This is sort of a separate issue. This just allows us to take dogs in the event that found in our community. But sometimes the dogs don't even belong to anyone in our community. They could be somewhere from a region outside our community and somewhere in the region. So unfortunately, we just can't always find the owners of the dogs, and it allows us someplace.
I think we can do better and work forward to doing a better job, but yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
Okay, thank you. Call this one to a vote. Councillor Cross, you vote to agree with the second reading of this bylaw and agreement with the North Bay Humane Society? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Olmsted?
I guess there's no other choice, so yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well, so thank you, everyone. We'll bring it back for a third reading probably at our next council meeting. Next item on the agenda is a report from the clerk treasurer. It's 2021 C204 report to council, statement of remuneration and expenses for 2020. There's a spreadsheet on the second page that shows everyone's remuneration for 2020. Any discussion, any concerns, any questions? Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Olmsted?
Maybe, I don't know. I did bring this up to Cindy, and I guess I've just been distracted. But when there's other committees, so the planning board and conservation authority, they get paid for that. But there's other committees that I've been on and I don't get paid for. VMUTs for one, and say if we have an ad hoc or whatever, maybe perhaps we can look towards amending that for our budgets.
Something to consider.
Well, if you're required to be there, then you're required to be paid. That's all I got to say.
So, yeah, but then there's committees too. We have to think about like
I understand, but if you have if
can I talk?
If you have sorry.
Like the recreation committee, for example, that always has been a volunteer committee, so we'd have to keep that in mind as well. I just wanted to say that, so please proceed, Councillor Olmsted.
Okay, well, just the whole idea of ad hoc. You need to have a council representative on there, right?
Yes.
You can't have one without one. It's required. And then for VMUTs, all the other members of council from other districts got paid. I didn't know, and I didn't went into it that way. But I just think for equitability, for a future council, that we don't drop the ball, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be here next time either.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. There's remuneration. motion of support for universal paid sick days. Okay, that was, do you have that one there, Cindy? Okay, so I'll need a mover and a seconder for this one. Councilor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councilor Olmsted, can you second it?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councilor Cross, seconded by Heather Olmsted. And basically, it's a motion that we're supporting of the City of St. Catharines to endorse legislation for sick leave and calls on the Government of Ontario to reform legislative universal sick days for all workers in Ontario during the pandemic and beyond, regardless of workplace size, type of work, or immigration status. And be it further resolved that this motion be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Minister of Labour, all regional MPPs, and Ontario municipalities. So any discussion on that, Councillor Cross? Oh, just a second.
No discussion.
Yeah.
Councillor, no?
Just one thing,
Cindy?
it looks like this, I forgot to change this to Municipality of Calvin.
Oh, okay.
So, okay with me changing this to Municipality of Calvin?
I'm okay with that. Are you okay, Councillor Cross?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
I think it's a good idea. It might be hard on some smaller businesses to do this, but I think everybody needs a little bit of help. So I'm going to call a vote on this, whether we agree with it or not. Councillor Cross, do you agree with this resolution?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And I agree as well. So this resolution is carried. Next item on the agenda is a motion of support for the community safety. No, it's not a motion of support for the Amber Light system. I believe that Mattawa is already doing this, or got it underway. So I need a mover and a seconder for this one. So Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one?
Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Olmsted and seconded by Councillor Cross that be resolved that Council of Corporation Municipality of Calvin fully supports and strongly advocates the province of Ontario to implement the Amber 8 light system on all school buses for the safety of all students utilizing school buses as a safe access to and from schools. And be it further resolved that the Corporation Municipality of Calvin forward this resolution to MPP Mike Harris Jr., the Minister of Transportation, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Federation of Northeastern Ontario Municipalities, and all municipalities in the District of Nipissing. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion. Just that I think it's a good idea.
Councillor Olmsted?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to call this for a vote. Do you agree to proceed with this resolution, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And I do as well, so this resolution is carried as well. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is item M. It's a motion of support for the Community Safety and Well-Being Plan. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this as well. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, could you second it?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Olmsted, that whereas the town of Mattawa and municipality of Mattawa and township of Papineau, Cameron, and municipality of Calvin have joined together to create a community safety and well-being plan, which is a commitment to our residents that we are working together for the betterment of all. And whereas the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Calvin is committed as civic leaders to do our community safety and well-being, a plan for collaboration and action. And whereas the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Calvin is fundamentally supportive of all initiatives that promote and focus on the safety and well-being of our residents and communities as a whole. And whereas the Community and Safety Well-Being Plan is a plan that will be sustained over time, will monitor its residents' pulse, and will alter its trajectory to promote a healthy, safe, and economically vibrant community. And whereas the Mattawa and Area Community Safety Well-Being Advisory Committee was established in 2020, which its goals and objectives are to achieve the ideal state of sustainable community where everyone is safe, has a sense of belonging, access to services, and where individuals and families are able to meet their needs for education, health, care, food, housing, income, and social and cultural expression. And whereas leading by example and working together is instrumental in the success of any initiative, therefore be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Calvin proudly endorses the Mattawa and Area Community and Safety Well-Being Plan as a commitment of our communities working together for a safety and well-being of our residents. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
There was a meeting last week. I wasn't able to attend. I couldn't get out of a lawyer's meeting, but Cindy attended it. And I know that we had some questions about this. I'm not sure if this is the time to discuss it, but we were talking about possibly looking at getting a different person to finish off the plan, but we found out that it's 90% done already. So to get different quotes doesn't really make any sense right now. If anything, though, I think Cindy should speak on it because she was actually at the meeting. Otherwise, I'm in full support of this.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted, do you have any thoughts?
No, I'd like to hear what Cindy has to say. Thanks.
Okay. Cindy, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
So the meeting was, as Councillor Cross indicated, indicated that the plan itself is approximately 90% complete. They were looking to add this particular resolution to the plan. We've already submitted our mayor's message, was required to be submitted for the plan. And then there's a toolbox that needs worked on. But
Sorry, you broke up. I didn't hear everything you said.
Okay, so 90% of the
I heard
plan
that. It was just the last
done.
sentence. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
About the toolbox.
So the last thing that needs to be done, the mayor's 90% of the plan is done. What was needed was this resolution, the mayor's message, which we've already submitted, and they needed to do to build a toolbox. In order to build the toolbox, a governance team needs to be made, which means all the council members of the advisory committee. So Councillor Cross, Councillor Sarazan from Mattawa, Councillor No from Papineau Cameron, and Councillor, not sure what her last name is, Beverly, or Beverly something.
Bell.
Bell, there, thank you. Her last name, those will make up the governance committee, and they will decide what needs to be involved in the toolkit. There will be discussion on if there's something that that we're going to focus on in a particular year. So for instance, if we decide that we're going to focus on broadband, are there any costs involved in broadband? How are we going to determine who pays for what if there are any costs involved? So the governance team has to meet in order to determine those types of things. Whether a consultant needs to be hired for that portion of it, just different things such as those. So they have yet to meet. The plan is for them to meet near the beginning of April. So the advisory committee itself has been put on hold until September. The plan itself, like I mentioned, is 90% done. It just needs these few other extra little things. So we should be able to meet the target of the January 1st, 2021 deadline of this.
Thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to call for a vote on this resolution, that we move forward with it. So how do you vote, Councillor Cross?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is also carried. At our last meeting, Councillor, I believe it was Councillor Maxwell, suggested that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's what it was, suggested that our landfill hours be extended, our winter hours be extended until April 30th. And Jacob reported at that time that there wasn't really an upsurge in use because the parks weren't open and nothing really happened until the long weekend in May. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to look at this resolution, please. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Olmsted, that Council hereby authorizes that the landfill winter hours for Tuesday 1 to 4 and Saturdays from 10 to 3 will be extended on April the 30th, 2021. Any discussion on that, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion, Councillor Olmsted?
No, it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call for a vote to extend the hours. Do you vote to maintain the winter hours, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do.
And do you vote to maintain the winter hours until April 30th, Councillor Olmsted?
Yes, I do.
I do as well. So this resolution is also carried. Okay, so next item on the agenda is a report from the Clerk Treasurer. It's 2021 CT13 municipal insurance premiums. Has everyone had a chance to review that?
Yes.
Okay. There was some changes and an increase, 13%. But if you would have looked at the reports from previous, I think it was the previous meeting that showed other municipalities, what their rate increase was. Although 13% seems like a lot of money, it wasn't as bad as them. This is the last year that we'll possibly have this company, as we have to go out for tender next year on it. So any discussion on any of this, Councillor Cross?
No discussion. It was the report was pretty thorough. There's nothing more to.
Councillor Olmsted?
I had a couple of questions about cyber exclusion. I didn't understand what that meant. Do you know, Cindy? I'm sorry. I'm not techie, so I don't understand what cyber exclusion means.
Please proceed, Cindy.
Okay, so cybersecurity insurance is a separate thing we've never had it in our insurance policy before. So it would be things like if we got a virus, such as a Trojan horse virus, that's corrupted all of our data, or for example, last year when we had a ransomware issue, our IT person had protected us well enough that we were able to recover everything, minus a couple of days of information that we had to redo. But it's becoming more and more prevalent. These attacks, hackers, different things like that. It's commonly in the news now. So they've just mentioned that they purposely mentioned this time that it's not included in our insurance policies, that I guess everybody is aware that cybersecurity insurance is not included in our policy. I did contact our insurance company to see how much it would cost. I've heard in the past that it was unbelievably expensive, but actually I just received a quote approximately 3:30 this afternoon for $1 million coverage. It's under $4,000. So it's not as that's still expensive for us, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So it's something we don't have to add it right now. If council wants to have a discussion about it, and we can decide. There are other options. Not that insurance is a bad thing. We can still do the insurance, but our IT person is also looking to bump up our security, try and protect us. He goes to courses all the time and learns how to protect us against attacks and viruses and things like that. So he's suggesting that we spend maybe approximately $5,000 this year to bump up our security, which, if we have to choose, that might be the better option in this particular instance. Use increase our security measures versus getting the insurance. Again, not saying the insurance is a bad thing. I'm just saying if we have to choose between the two, it might be better to bump up our security versus.
Okay, and so thank you. I had no idea about that. So it says that our deductible has reached 10,000 now instead of 5,000 because of increased small claims driving insurance costs. And I'm seeing more and more that municipalities are being held responsible for a partial payment of insurance payouts, right? So again, we need to look at lowering our speed limits, I think, but I guess we're kind of stuck with this, like Mayor Pennell said, until next year. But maybe these are things we have to look at to lower our premiums.
Next year's another year or two, eh? Lord knows what'll happen next year, right?
It scares me. Anyway, okay. That's it.
Anything further? No? Okay.
No.
Okay, so thank you for bringing that report forward, Cindy. So the next item on the agenda is the insurance renewal. Excuse me. Okay, so I'll need a mover and a seconder for this one, please. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Olmsted, that council received and reviewed the 2021/2022 municipal insurance renewal documents as presented by Municipal Insurance Services Ltd, dated February 25th, 2021, and notes the increase of 13%, $3,757 over the previous year, and hereby authorize the clerk treasurer to bind the premium and coverage summary and MIS to proceed to issue and invoice the applicable policy documents. Need any discussion? Any further discussion on this one, Councillor Cross?
Well, I noticed in the last, several meetings with all of the letters of support, there has been a lot of municipalities asking for a reduction of insurance premiums and the municipal insurance. So hopefully by next year, maybe the higher levels of government will be able to help us out in that, because there has been a lot of letters of support for this issue. So hopefully it'll come.
Anything you'd like to say, Heather?
Yeah, we do need government regulation. They can't just pick a number out of the air and put it down. We need to have some rules in place. So hopefully they'll be in place by next year.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to bring this to a vote that we agree to move ahead with the policy for this year till next. So, Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you, guys. And this one here. So the next item on the agenda is a report from the clerk treasurer. It's 2021 CT14. As a report to council of the emergency control group meeting that was held on February the 24th, 2021. There's nothing really outstanding in the report. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask Councillor Cross?
No questions.
Councillor Olmsted?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We have Councillor Cross, no, Councillor Maxwell made an email suggestion asking that municipality look into single stream recycling and do an investigation on that. So we have a resolution in front of us. I need a mover and a seconder to proceed with this. Councillor Olmsted, can you move this resolution?
Yes.
And
I wish he was here to do it.
Councillor Cross, can you second that, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, any discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
Well, this is just asking for a report. I think Councillor Maxwell had some interesting suggestions. I think I would have some more, but I think I'll wait till the report is done. I have some concerns about the single streaming. I think it's going to cost more money than we would participate
We don't know.
in doing this. Well, when they take the recycling and it's not sorted, there's a premium to pay for that. So it may cost more. So yeah, I'll wait till the report is done to make any more comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything, Councillor Olmsted?
No, I'm just looking forward to a report.
Okay. So I'm going to request a vote on whether to proceed with the staff investigating and researching a report for a single stream recycling program for our municipality. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a request from the fire department for breathing apparatus bottles to be tested and filled before the budget is approved. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to proceed with this. Councillor Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So any discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
Okay. I'm assuming, I don't know if Dean is still here, but this article this line item would be included in our 2021 budget. Is that correct?
Yeah, that'd be correct, Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then I'm going to call for a vote on this one. Councillor, to accept this expense for the testing. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for online training before the budget approval. And I'll need a mover and a seconder to move this one into discussion. Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one, please?
Sure, yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Olmsted and seconded by Councillor Cross that council hereby authorizes the fire chief to have arranged online training for the Calvin Volunteer Fire Department in advance of the approval of the 2021 budget. The estimated cost to have this completed is $1,605. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
I'm just curious, is this something that is just new come up? Just curious to why we're doing it now. Is it a new training or
Yeah,
could
I
it
can
get
answer that
waited
for you,
to?
Sandy, if you would like.
Okay, thank you.
So the NFP standards states that they want all our firefighters to have their firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 training. So this is, we're actually paying a membership to this company that has the training books, and the guys are going to be able to do it online at their own time, and it's like modules they'll do. So when they do the 15 modules, they'll be able to challenge the course to complete the firefighter 1. So we're using this to get our guys trained up to get the modules, so they'll actually have their firefighter 1. So the 16 every year, this will be coming on my training budget, so this is pretty well about half of my training budget. but with the year we're having, it's a good year to be doing something like this. So this is definitely new that we're doing, and because we do have such so many new younger guys there, that we want to have them trained to the new standards. So it's not in effect yet, but it is coming down the line. So we're just kind of working ahead of the curve here a little bit.
I was just wondering if this had anything to do with the fire training college that is closing down, and if there was new courses that they were putting out there because of the closing down. I just wondered if it had a coalition. If not, okay,
No.
thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Do you have any questions, Councillor Olmsted?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call for a vote to approve this expense for training. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is also carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Next item on the agenda is an agreement with the John Dixon Library for 2021/22. This is something that we do every year. I believe we apply for a grant from the government, and then they give us a grant, and we just forward it on to the library. Is that correct, Cindy?
Yes, that's correct. Typically, the past 5 years or so, I can't guarantee it'll be the same this year, but the past 5 years it's been $1,177.
Okay, thank you. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this resolution. So Councillor Cross, can you move this resolution, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any discussion, Councillor Cross? Any questions you'd like to ask?
No, I'm good.
And Councillor Olmsted?
No questions.
So I'm going to call for a vote to agree to renew the agreement with the John Dixon Public Library Board. Do you vote yes or no, Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried as well.
Mayor Pennell, can I ask for a 2-minute break?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so it's 8:48. How about is 8:52 okay? Does that work? Is that not long enough?
Sure, it's long enough. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I said 52, right? So that's 4 minutes. Randy's back. Well, still missed theirs, Heather.
I'm not going to miss out on a P opportunity.
Okay, so it looks like we're all back. So we'll proceed. Next item on the agenda is V. It's Enterprise for Municipalities, E4M. Notice of presentation. Can you speak on this, Ms. Alberts?
Okay, so someone will be presenting at the meeting requested because the findings are more of an advice and a mediation as opposed to, you know, the report with the recommendations. So not everything becomes a report. We often, I mean, primarily most of our work is about giving advice, helping counselors find the solutions but we'll do everything we can to keep people out of the soup. So this apparently is another matter. And I think that we have decided that we'd rather just discuss it as opposed to, and see if it can be fixed, nipped in the bud, as opposed to going down another long road.
Okay, I like that idea. Okay, so and we're, that's going to be, okay, I'm not sure. Is this a special meeting, Cindy, or is this a regular meeting? You're on mute, sorry.
Sorry. It will be at our next regular meeting on March 23rd.
Okay, I saw that there, just verifying. So this is like an informational purposes thing in here?
Correct.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is an educational thing. It's a Public Health Ontario defining municipal resolution, policies, and bylaws. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read through that. The next one, and there's a part in here about bylaws. There's a whole bunch of good things in here. Hope everybody takes a chance to read through it. Then there's the next item is municipal councilor's profile by the Rural Ontario Institute. It's a pretty good read. Makes you think going through it. Anybody have any comments on those? Councillor Croft?
No, it was interesting. No comments.
Okay. And Councillor Olmsted?
I had a few, and I wish we had had this a long time ago. Most of this is on the job training. And their recommendations were that, you know, basically we have more training, and even the Integrity Commissioner had more training. I was a very interesting read, probably better than most of the stuff that comes across in my desk. As this one I was vastly invested in. Yeah, good surveys, good information. I just hope we can resolve this.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda are information letters. Is there anything in there that tweaked your interest, Councillor Croft?
Well, the very first one, Perry Sound, anything with the kids, I always tweaks my interest. No,
Which one was,
I was just the first one with the support the government on Ontario prioritizing children and children's care as part of the post-pandemic recovery plan. That was it. The rest of it was pretty much just nothing.
anything in there for you, Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah, I'd like to support the carbon tax on primary agricultural producers. This is going to be a really big hit. You want to eat, we got to get gas, and that's the thing. But given that we're missing 2 councillors, we can't really say that we support a lot of things, so maybe we should.
We can support anything on here. We have a quorum.
Yeah. Well, that's the number one, because everything else is we've already supported, you know, the fire
Yeah.
college. Right, so that's a new one coming down the pike. I'd like to support the carbon tax.
I had that one highlighted as well.
Yeah, and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, additional funding. I had a question on that. Did we have any more direction
Which
as to
item is-
where we can spend that money? Sorry, FF.
FF?
Like they're saying they're going to give us more funding, but we had no direction on how we can spend it. I think Dan was saying that, you know, the Mattawa got some tablets that they can do their jobs more efficiently remotely. But we weren't sure where to spend that money.
Oh, Cindy.
Unfortunately, I haven't received any further direction as to where we can spend the money. Based on some information I did receive from our accountant, tablets, not a problem. It's more large capital projects that they don't want the money used for. They've designated it as operating. Again, what the definition of operating is, I'm not 100% sure, because now, originally the report was supposed to be done by the end of March, but now they've actually, as mentioned in that letter, it's back. So I still unfortunately don't have any details but we did put our computers, the new computers that we purchased last year, our accountant suggested that instead of taking that money from reserves, as we had initially intended, that we use the COVID money to buy the computers. They had webcams on top of them, and previously we didn't have any webcams, so I don't see any problems. If council decides they want to use tablets or purchase tablets for everybody, then no problem with that.
Thank you.
That's something we can discuss at budget time?
Yes. It is something that I was going to bring up, yes.
Would you approve that decision, Councillor Olmsted?
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's, you know, me and technology don't get along. My laptop is, I don't know how old. My kids were in high school when I got this one, and they're 30 now. So tell me how old this computer is.
Okay, so from what I can see, I wanted to congratulate Councillor Grant on his attendance at the North Bay Conservation Authority, but he's not here for that. So it looks like we want to support the item Z, the Norfolk County carbon tax on primary agriculture producers. And Sandy had suggested that support the town of Carleton Place resolution that the government of Ontario prioritize children and childcare as part of its post-pandemic recovery plan. So can we bring back something at our next meeting to support those two initiatives, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is there anything else in there that anybody wants to discuss? No? Okay. Information letters available. There's one there. Rules of practice and procedure of the Assessment Review Board.
Mayor Pennell?
Yes. Yes.
It's a large document. The reason why it's not in info letters is like 200 pages long. So if someone is interested in reading the new rules and regulations for the ARB, all they have to do is email me and I will forward them a copy of that.
Okay.
Or if they want, it's also provided ARB website, either or. I have a copy of it if anyone is interested. Electronic copy. Can print one off, but right now I haven't because.
Three trees. Then the next item here is old and new business. Underneath that, there's one heading there is a letter of support to Bell application to the Universal Broadband Fund. They had sent us, they had sent me an email asking to support their letter of application to the government. In discussion with Susan Church, she had advised that we should support anyone who was interested in providing broadband services to the municipality. So this was a form letter. They basically kind of outlined what they wanted us to say. So we modify it a little bit, okay? To whom it may concern, we will be pleased to support Bell's application to the Government of Canada's Universal Broadband Fund to bring high-speed internet to our community once we can confirm that service will be delivered to our entire community. All right? So they're not just going to put up a tower down at, I don't know, Boundary Road and shoot to two houses that live on that road. They have to provide access to the whole municipality before we're going to give them that letter of support. All right. So other than that, it's just pretty straightforward. Does anyone else have any old or new business? Councillor Cross.
No, I don't.
Councillor Olmsted.
I support the letter, as long as it's for the entire, not just the highway and peddlers.
Right.
And so just the third paragraph at the end, by the end of that year, just a little typo, you know me and typos. I just don't think that's because it says by the end of the year. Well, what year?
Okay.
Right? Just a little, that's it. But as long as it's to the entire, that'd be great for me too. Thanks.
And the reason that I sent it in because there was a timeline to have it done. Okay.
Right.
So it had to go.
Okay.
So Cindy, do you have anything old or new?
No, I do not.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is account approval report. So we'll need a mover and a seconder to bring this one forward, please. So Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes.
So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Olmsted, seconded by Councillor Cross, that the disbursement dated March the 4th, 2021, in the amount of $22,940.69, and March 19th, 2021, in the amount of $35,886.05, be hereby authorized and passed for payment. Any discussion? Councillor Cross.
No.
Councillor Olmsted?
Just double checking.
Okay.
I look for my big yellow mark. Oh, here, I did have, on 16093, how often do we pay, this citywide asset manager support for computer expenses? $2,542.01.
Can you tell me which report? Is it the March 4th report or the March 9th?
March 9th. March 9th.
So today's report?
Mm-hmm. So 16093. Oh, it says annual. Sorry, my bad. I didn't read the little manual.
Yes,
So that's
it's
once
an
a year we pay.
Annual payment. It's for the asset management software program that we have. It's the annual fee and maintenance support if there's a problem with.
Oh, okay, thank you. No, everything else is good.
Okay. So I'm going to call us to a vote, please, to approve these disbursements. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Next item on the agenda is the closed portion, of which we have none. Then it's business arising from the closed session, of which we have none. There are no notice of motions. And the last item on the list is on the agenda is the adjournment for the meeting. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Olmsted that the regular meeting of council now be adjourned at 9:08 p.m. I'm going to call for a vote to accept this resolution. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is also carried. That'll end our eventful meeting of the evening. So I ask you all to take care, stay safe, and until our next meeting. Okay? So goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.